Hey everyone, Mark Rosen here, back with another edition of Rosen Sports Monday, our wonderful podcast. Thanks to our good friends, number one of Lexus of Wayzata, Lexus of Maplewood. Yes, our good friend Charlie Swanson. Thanks, Charlie. And our newest sponsor, Stretch Lab, which I will talk about a little bit later as well. Jim Souhan is with us today in studio. Day after, just another yawner for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm getting sick and tired of this. You know, these blowouts every. I mean, my God, when it's 34-3 at the half, and I'm thinking to myself, are the Bengals just going to just pack up and just get on the bus and go back to the airport right now? They may as well have. It was so unusual, Jim, to witness that in person. It's crazy.
It was, and you know, usually when you see an unexpected blowout in the NFL. It usually happens to other teams. They usually go to the box score, defensive touchdown or special teams touchdown or both. That's what really tips the scales. And I think it would be fascinating if you went back and played this game and instead of the ball hitting Harrison Smith's finger, it goes through. Because that was, early, of course the game's close early on. If Harrison Smith doesn't touch that ball, it's Bengals first and goal.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens after that?
Right.
Instead, it goes to the fastest guy in the field. He returns for 87 yards for a touchdown, and it is a prelude to one of the greatest defensive halves in NFL history.
And it wasn't Harrison Smith. It was Isaiah Rodgers, which left a lot of folks going, wait, is he on the Vikings? His background, Brian Flores designated him kind of, I want this guy on my football team. Not a ballyhoo draft pick, nothing like that. And all of a sudden, he earned. I've never seen anyone earn Defensive Player of the Week faster than he did in the first half.
Like 8 minutes, unbelievable.
6 minutes, and even his teammates were in awe of what was happening. But you're right, Harrison did welcome back Harrison Smith. Ball was tipped, he took it, and man, it was like watching. I'm going to use an old, Carl Lewis in his prime, whomever sprinter, Usain Bolt. I mean, he was gone.
He was gone. And, you mentioned his pedigree. I mean, he's a 6th-round draft pick by the Colts a number of years ago. Ends up being a reserve on a great Eagles defense last year. But this is why Brian Flores is so valuable. Of course, the coaching and teaching his players how to punch the ball out, which not all teams do very well, and this team does exceptionally well.
No, they do. But
identifying underrated talent. How many Viking fans were sitting around saying, God, they need Van Ginkel, And then he goes and getting Van Ginkel, and now Van Ginkel looks like the perfect guy to have in this defense. Grenard, we knew was a good player, but his stats weren't overwhelming, and he had a couple down years, and Flores looked at him and said, he's perfect for this defense. Isaiah Rodgers is perfect for this defense because he's fast, he's experienced, he's played for good defensive coordinators, he's smart, and he put him back there watching what the front seven's doing and eyeballing the ball. I mean, that was great, but the thing is, how often do we say this? His 87-yard interception return for a touchdown wasn't his best play.
No,
the best play was the punch out to himself,
correct,
pick it up and go score. That I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Yeah, that was it's just a remarkable first half. Just something you probably will never see in your lifetime again. You can list all the great defensive backs who've played in the NFL, and no one has ever done it before. But getting back to the fact the Vikings led 34-3 at the half. We both covered enough NFL games for a lot of years. You talk about a week-to-week existence. We've seen it firsthand just in the last 2 weeks. Vikings get shut out from scoring a touchdown against Atlanta. Atlanta comes back, gets shut out yesterday. The Packers, pretty much everybody in the NFL has got the Packers penciled into the Super Bowl, or at least the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. And they go and lose on a blocked field goal to the Cleveland Browns, basically, in Cleveland yesterday. And that's just part of the story yesterday.
And
that's why people love the NFL.
That's right, because you can spend 6 days building up your belief that something's going to happen or that something is true, and then it gets completely thrown away in 60 minutes on Sunday. And it's just like with the Vikings game yesterday, the nature of the game is going in, we all look at quarterbacks, coaches, record, recent performance, matchups, right? Well, it might be the left tackle having a really good game. It might be the center going out with an injury that might decide the game. It might be a tipped pass. I mean, how often? I mean, tipped passes are such an important part of the game. You know, a tip pass can change a touchdown one way into a touchdown the other. There's so many of these swing plays in the NFL. That's what makes it fascinating.
Oh, Jim, I thought the fans were going to be, and I think they probably were a little nervous, anxious, pensive walking into
Viking
US
fans?
Bank.
Nervous?
Yeah.
Really?
No. We're not shaky at all. But the Vikings did exactly what they had to do. They got the first drive. They went down, Wentz threw a touchdown pass to Josh Oliver. Whew, you could almost feel everybody exhale a little bit because after getting shut out from scoring a touchdown the week before, they did it right away, and that kind of set the tone. Not that the offense was spectacular, far from. They didn't have to be, but they still got a lot of room for improvement. We could talk about that in a minute, but that certainly did boost them. And then the defense just absolutely rolled over the Bengals all day long. That front four and the whole front seven really dominated all day long.
I thought Van Ginkel coming back was a big key. I thought he played great. I wrote a column about it. I watched Dallas Turner's performance against Atlanta. I watched it live, and I watched it twice on tape, and he just didn't participate in the run defense. He just didn't get off blocks. He just stood there and let himself be blocked. He was better yesterday because they could move him around and play him where they wanted to instead of have him say, okay, you're just Van Ginkel's replacement and you're not good enough to do that yet. So Van Ginkel made a big difference. I also thought that it's really interesting that J.J. McCarthy had his best period of his very brief career, and Wentz looked at his best yesterday when Jordan Mason was running.
Correct.
Jordan Mason makes a difference. He moves the pile. He hits the hole hard. He breaks tackles. He beats up the defense. He might end up being one of the great underrated signings of this last free agency period.
Yeah, even when Aaron Jones comes back, I mean, I know they were talking about splitting the carries.
They'll split it. They'll split it. And
Jones will start.
That's nonsense. Mason needs to be the starter. Yeah. Mason needs to be the first and second down back. Aaron Jones, wonderful player. He's a wonderful guy. He's had a great career, and he profiles perfectly right now as a third down back. But
correct.
You got to give the ball to Mason.
Well, let's talk about Carson Wentz. You mentioned him. Everyone talked about the idea that he was now going to be the guy until J.J. McCarthy comes back, which we will get into as well. Modest statistics, 14 out of 20, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Of course, after the defensive touchdowns, the Vikings didn't have to do a lot offensively to kind of air it out or take many chances. But I'm still thinking this is a real work in progress. Although Wentz did, I think anyone could see that he got rid of the ball quicker. You could tell he has the experience. He's been around the block a few times. He even knew when to take a sack and do it right and not try to worm his way out of it and fumble the football away. So, overall, I don't know what kind of grade you would give him, but certainly, KOC knows how to kind of handpick these guys, and he did a nice enough job yesterday. But I still don't think there's any doubt that J.J. McCarthy is going to get his job back, probably against the Eagles. You don't think so?
No. So 2 things. Number one, I'd give Wentz like a C. I thought he did what he had to do.
Right.
Also, he had Darisaw protecting his backside, which is a major.
My point.
He basically erased Trey Henderson, one of the best defensive players.
Never heard his name.
So, if somebody other than Darisaw was playing yesterday, we might, Wentz might be hurt right now. I mean, we might not be talking about Wentz. I think that Wentz has the opportunity, if he plays well enough, to keep the job. I do not see them pulling him if he's playing well and they're winning. I think 2 things have to happen. If he plays well and if they're winning, I think they just let it roll until they have a reason to make a change.
Well, I will. I'm hearing you, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way you do. But the company line right now is 100%. It seems near 100% that once J.J. McCarthy's back, and it sounds as if he'd be back for the Eagles game after the bye. Obviously, they got the game in Dublin, then London. Then they have their bye week, and after that, they play the Eagles. A great team to come back from an injury for at home. But I don't know what's going to change his mind unless Wentz really lights it up. I agree. If Wentz lights it up. But then aren't you kind of stunting the growth of the guy that you have designated to be your franchise quarterback? And he's already missed all of last year, didn't get any reps in a regular season game. We all know that. The Vikings had barely run any plays the first 2 games of the season that he played. And even though he managed to have a great fourth quarter, one great quarter after playing 8 quarters, I just think he needs a pitch count to go up. I don't know how you do that. That's a tough. You got to win. You got to win now. You can't give games away.
Yeah, I just think this roster is built to win right now, and if the quarterback's winning games, I just don't see them making a change. I just think Kevin O'Connell will walk over and kick J.J. McCarthy as hard as he can in the ankle, as often as he has to.
It'll be an interesting news conference when that happens. But speaking of quarterbacks, if you look around, they always talks about him being the quarterback whisperer. Sam Darnold doing pretty well for Seattle.
He is.
And a guy named Daniel Jones. Granted, Indy's playing the also-rans right now. I'm not sure either one is going to be sustaining itself in the course of the long season, but I think Indianapolis has had to punt the ball once the first 3 games, which is a record, NFL record. But Danny Dimes is looking good. I mean, I liked him when he was here. We never got a chance to see him really play, but I thought he was going to be kind of the guy that they were going to sneak into the radar and sign.
Yeah, and I think they're two really, I know we like to group them all as people O'Connell has helped. I really think they're two completely different cases. Mm-hmm. I think Darnold, we saw last year, under the right circumstances, he can play really well. And I think he's in the right circumstance right now. He has talent around him. It's a well-coached team. They have a good defense. He's making plays. But they didn't get rid of him because he was a bad regular season quarterback. They got rid of him because when he was under pressure, under the microscope, he choked. We still don't know if he's going to get over that. As for Jones, I always kind of liked him with the Giants. I was like, okay, this is a young quarterback who doesn't have receiving talent around him, doesn't have a good offensive line. It's a bad organization, and he won a road playoff game. We know that because we watched it here.
Right.
He won a road playoff game. That's not nothing to go on the road and win a playoff game with a limited team. And against a Vikings team we thought pretty highly of at the time. So I thought there was something there. He's big, he's strong, he runs well, he seems to be able to pass accurately. I also would give more credit to the Colts for getting him up to speed in their system than I would give to O'Connell for his success this year.
And I'll tell you one player who unsolicited said to us, I really like Danny Jones. That's Kyle Rudolph. He had no reason to, it wasn't like he was a bunch of microphones in front of him and had to say the right thing. He really liked Danny Jones. So it's interesting hearing from Kyle, who had a brief stint there as well. But, that's the way things go. I mentioned the Packers losing to Cleveland. Jordan Love, everything's rolling for Green Bay. Everyone's saying all the right things. They're just destroying the first 2 opponents. They're doing all the, and Cleveland has a good defense, but Jordan Love made a key mistake late in the game, and they get a field goal blocked, and then Cleveland gets downfield and kicks a 55-yarder to win it. They have to be stunned in Green Bay this morning. They're 3-0 and they're rolling right now.
Yeah, it's and number one, Kevin Stefanski is a hell of a coach. If he ever ends up in a situation where he's got a good franchise, an intelligent franchise, and a real quarterback, look out. That guy can coach. Number two, it's a fascinating division. Caleb Williams lit it up yesterday against a bad defense. He's capable of killing you with a mistake at any moment, anytime you really need him. Jordan Love, wonderful young player, still relatively young player. Do you really trust him to not throw the big interception? Jared Goff can light you up or he can look terrible any given week. These are talented quarterbacks, but these are not sure thing guys.
Right. And doesn't, I believe, is it Thursday night? Micah Parsons goes into
Dallas.
To Dallas.
Yes.
I mean, Jerry Jones, the Cowboys are awful.
No defense. And you know what? They're actually really good offensively.
Offensively, they have CD Lamb is on the field.
They are so bad defensively.
Yeah.
Dak is playing his butt off right now.
Right.
Ferguson's a really good tight end. CD's a great player, although he's hurt now. They got Pickens as a 2. They got Turpin as a 3. Javonte Williams is running the ball well. They have a good offensive line. It's just the defense. Micah Parsons covered up so many of their flaws defensively. Now when teams have time to let patterns develop, that secondary cannot cover.
No. Well, that's going to be, Jerry Jones' big week for him because Micah
big dummy Jerry Jones. My God.
One more Viking note, of course, Jordan Addison's back.
Yep.
And have to believe that's going to be, with all due respect to the Jalen Nailors of the world, or even Adam Thielen, who's kind of filling a spot, maybe more of a blocking wide receiver right now. Addison had a terrific training camp, and in particular with J.J. McCarthy. And his presence back should make J.J. Jefferson even more effective, I would think, because now they got the bands back together again, basically offensively.
Well, basically, and especially if they get Ryan Kelly back this week.
Oh, man.
They get Ryan Kelly back. Darisaw is ready to play again. I think he will be. Now you got Addison, Jefferson, Naylor is a 3, which is an ideal 3. Thielen is injury, replacement or fourth receiver, whatever. And then you got Hawkinson got it going yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Oliver's a really good player. And Jordan Mason's run the ball really well. Now, all of a sudden,
you got yourself your offense.
Now you have defenses really worried on multiple fronts. I also think C.J. Ham coming back in another week he's not going to play a major role, but for a team that needs to protect the quarterback, wants to power run, C.J. Ham is great for those things.
Yeah, he'll be ready to go in a week. I saw him yesterday after the game, as a matter of fact. But speak of next week, impossible not to think about, well, what if KOC said, I'll give Aaron Rodgers, I'll kick the tires one more time on A-Rod. And, I know Pittsburgh won yesterday, but he's restricted to what he can do right now. He does throw a great, lack of a better term, kind of those lollipop kind of passes down the sideline, and still has, can sling it that way. But I got to believe the Vikings might be licking their chops again to get another shot at A-Rod.
He's playing pretty well. He's also playing like he doesn't want to get hit.
Yeah.
And he's now going to face the Vikings. He's got 4 games on the schedule against the Browns and the Ravens. I just don't see, I could see him. Listen, the Steelers are built to win 9 or 10 games every year. They didn't sign Rodgers to get them to 9 wins.
No.
They got Rodgers to win a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by the end of the year, he's going to be beat up and ducking the pass rush and not very effective.
Yeah.
And I think we might get a preview of that this Sunday.
And also kudos. I said one more Viking item. Will Reichert. I mean, what a great way to cap off an astonishing first half.
He should be mad at Isaiah Rodgers, because if it wasn't for Isaiah Rodgers, we might be talking a lot about Will Reichert today.
Right. I mean, that 62-yarder had mustard on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was going through. And this is the world we're seeing right now. These kickers, I don't know, they've gone to the Mike Zauner kicking camp or what happened, but man, there's a whole bunch of them that 60-yard field goals are like, I'm not saying chip shots, but the coaches don't have to think twice about it anymore, where it used to be such an anomaly.
It's amazing. And it really reminds me of the golf world. It wasn't that long ago where, if you were a pro and you hit it 250 to 270, you were doing fine. And now if you don't hit it 310, you have a major disadvantage. Now, part of the golf thing is equipment, whereas I think with the kickers, they just don't see, and they don't have any mental barriers to 60 yards, 55 yards, whatever. They know if they thump it, the ball's going through.
Yeah.
They've just refined their techniques. They practiced it. It reminds me of basketball. The NBA put in the 3-point line as a desperation comeback device. I think the first NBA playoff game played with the 3-point line, there were like 2 or 3 3-point attempts in the entire game. Then players start practicing it. They're like, oh, I can do this. And now all of a sudden you can make a lot of money doing it. And all of a sudden any mental blockade to standing back there and shooting a 25-footer is gone. And these guys are talented enough they can actually do it. I think that's what's happening with the kickers. They're like, if I hit it right, it's going through. There's absolutely no mental barrier to doing this now.
Before we take our break, again, I'm talking to Jim Souhan. I wanted to add a personal touch to the weekend as well. Legends Weekend in particular, which they have every year to bring back a lot of their former players. But this one in particular was really big because they were honoring the career and life of Jim Marshall, who passed away in June, and had a chance to host an event the other night with a lot of his former teammates. Emotional time, to say the least. His wife, Susan, took part in a lot of the festivities over the weekend to honor her husband for all the things he did for the Vikings franchise, the consummate professional. And it was interesting, Jim, the other night they had the dinner that they normally have at the Omni Hotel, and KOC came and spoke to all the players there, the legends, and then when he's walking out, obviously he knows Susan, and Susan was wearing Jim Marshall's Ring of Honor jacket that she had personally tailored for her. So she had it on, and KOC whispered something to her, and he invited her over to talk to the team before the last team meeting last Saturday night. And Susan's not a real public person. They led a very private life, especially in the last year of Jim's life. But she agreed, of course, to do it, and apparently was just knocked it out of the park and talked about Jim's love of his teammates, the fans in particular, playing this game at that level. And it did resonate. And they went out and put on a Jim Marshall type performance defensively yesterday. So it was fun to be a part of that entire proceedings this weekend. And saw some good friends that some are doing well, some not so well. It's a tough business that we watch these NFL games every Sunday. And you don't see what goes on. When I say you, I mean the public doesn't see much of what goes on behind the scenes, the physical toll. Jim Marshall never played when they had an injury list on a Wednesday.
No. And
none of these guys did.
And back in the day when I was a beat writer and I'd be around and access was much more wide open, I'd be in the locker room early Monday morning and I'd be talking to guys and some of them had to crawl out of bed. And I actually had trouble enjoying the NFL game for a long time because I knew that these guys were getting concussed.
Right. I
knew they were getting CTE. I knew they weren't going to be able to walk straight the rest of their lives, and they weren't even getting paid that much.
No.
And it really bothered me. So at least in the modern NFL, guys can make some money. They are much more aware of the risks to their brain. They have much better medical technology for helping with the joints and the knee injuries and the broken bones and everything. But man, back in the day, that was a brutal game, and the players were not treated well enough.
They were not, and yet all of them I've ever talked to would tell me the same thing. I would do it all over again.
I believe it.
And
that's part of their toughness.
It is. No regrets. They did it because of the love of the game. You said they weren't making a lot of money,
and they loved each other. They really did.
They did. Well, it was a special weekend, and I'm glad the Vikings responded in kind with that dominating performance yesterday over the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll be back to talk more stuff here in just a minute. But first of all, I want to thank our new sponsor, Stretch Lab. I was out in New Jersey visiting some relatives, and my nephew gave me an introductory first stretch, as they like to call it. There are locations all over the country. So I went in there for a 50-minute session. I had some back issues, and they took care of me there. And he told me about the place in Eden Prairie where he was going. So I signed up at Stretch Lab in Eden Prairie, and I've been hooked ever since. I go every Tuesday morning there. As I mentioned, there are locations throughout the Twin Cities. I go on Tuesday mornings with my guy, Jason. I mean, it's like a 50-minute meditation session. Jason stretches out my legs, my hips, my back, my neck. I mean, you get to be my age, things start hurting. My traps, all of it. I feel like a new man, though, every single time. My nephew's in his late 20s. I'm a little bit older, but it doesn't matter. Stretching is so important in our daily routine. Having an expert do the work is the only way to go. So my advice to you, give Stretch Lab a chance to improve your overall health. Check out a location near you. Hey, Rosie here for Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than my good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they have got you covered with two great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to lexusofwayzata.com or lexusofmaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
Hey everyone, John Krasinski here to celebrate with you that football season is finally upon us. Join me on the Viking Update Show for all the latest action, insights, and stories from the field. Jim Souhan and I will have everything you need on our podcast on the Talk North Podcast Network.
All right, welcome back to Rosen Sports Monday. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Stretch Lab and Lexus of Wayzata, Lexus of Maplewood, back with Jim Souhan. And I got home from the Vikings game on Sunday afternoon and just in time to watch the Minnesota Lynx do what they do best. I saw they were down by 7 at the half. I went, uh-oh, and they're down. Carrington was hurt, right?
Yep, she's out for the season now.
Out for the season. I saw when she got hurt the other night. I thought something like her shoe came untied or something. I was watching that game because she bent over and I thought she was just tying her shoe, and all of a sudden she goes to the bench. That's it. Foot injury. And that's a big loss.
It is. She was just the ideal person to bring off the bench and shut somebody down. She also fit in offensively. She could hit a shot. She had played on winning teams, really good teammate, really good competitor. So they'll miss her. I still think they have the best team.
Mm-hmm. Nafisa Collier did not get MVP of the league honors. Do you feel she was slighted, or the games that she missed kind of hurt her?
I just wrote a column about this where I say, I hate being a homer, but in this case, I'm going to be a homer. I think that she was the best player. I thought she had the most So I look at, number one, she was by far the best player on by far the best team. This team had the number one offensive rating, the number one defensive rating. And she was not only was she good in traditional stats, she was a leader. She facilitated everything they did on both ends of the floor. And second player in WNBA history to go 90, 50, 40.
Explain that.
Second player in WNBA history to shoot 90% from the free throw line, 50% from the field, 40% from three-point line.
Wow.
So A'ja Wilson is a great player. Obviously, she's a great player. She dominated the traditional stats, scoring, rebounding. She led her team on a 17-game winning streak. But they were also terrible early in the season with A'ja Wilson on the court. You know, it wasn't like she came back from an injury and then they turned on. They just played lousy for a while. Well, if we're going to give her credit for the 17-game winning streak, shouldn't she also take part of the blame for them being terrible early? The Lynx dominated the season from start to finish. And if they had been more stat conscious, they could have played Collier more down the stretch. She could have gotten bigger numbers. They could have fed her the ball. That's not who she is. She's not valuable because she just wants to dominate in scoring. She's valuable because she makes the play that needs to be made at the time.
Who does the voting for the MVP?
It's a panel of people who cover the league, both broadcast and sports writers.
Okay. All right.
And listen, I used to vote for all the Major League Baseball awards, and I decided that I should not be the person deciding whether Brad Radke gets a $20,000 bonus or something, which is really how it plays out. It was unethical. So I bailed out. But when I was voting, I used to talk to all the other baseball writers about why they were voting this way and that. And I generally think baseball writers do a very good job. I'm not ripping any voting panel, but you do run in. I would, and I also sat on the NFL Hall of Fame award panel once. You know, I actually had to present Carl Eller, and that experience just led me to realize just how much groupthink is involved in groups like that. And I just think a lot of those people were talking to each other. Oh, Asia's got to get it now. Look at the way her team's playing, and they lost complete sight of who was the best team, who was the best player all year, and who had the most unique, historic season.
And to no one's surprise, Nafisa handled it so well, saying, this is a team game. She took the high road.
She's great.
She's amazing. And listen, it is the Lynx, winning game one, best of 5. That's right, for this series, semifinal series. So onward and upward they go, and they don't have to worry about the New York Liberty. I thought whatever they're going to have, maybe they get the revenge game series. Not going to happen. The Liberty got eliminated.
And I think they wanted the Liberty. Number one, for revenge. Number two, because the Liberty did not have a great season, and Breanna Stewart's dealing with a little bit of a knee, and I think the Lynx would have taken it to them. I think Phoenix is a tough matchup. And I think what you saw in the first half was emblematic of how tough Phoenix can be. They're tough physically. Alyssa Thomas just will run you over. Great all-around player. They have depth. They have DeWanna Bonner coming off the bench. They have Satu Sabalu, who doesn't always play well, but when she plays well, she's fantastic. And I think they're well coached. And I think what we saw in game one was Phoenix showing you in the first half why they are a tough matchup, and the Lynx showing you in the second half that they are just the better team.
Yeah, and that's what's hopefully going to carry them to the WNBA finals. Let's switch gears and talk a couple other subjects. I see the Minnesota Wild played their first preseason game. They just reported at camp last week. Played their first preseason game. I believe they won in Winnipeg. And surprise, surprise, Kirill Kaprizov is in town. He held a news conference, said all the right things. He loves Minnesota, loves his teammates. Doesn't so much, I think, love the offer that he has received from Bill Guerin and company. So I don't know where this stands. The needle hasn't moved. He says, we still got a long time to wait. Do they? Doesn't seem like it.
Well, it's one of those deals where if he wants to leave, he's playing it just right. Turn down every offer. Never say anything negative publicly, play it out, become a free agent, take the best offer. I mean, that's the way a PR specialist would tell you to handle everything. By the way, let's give credit to our network. The person I started this network with, Michael Russo, broke that news that, he had received the highest offer in NHL history and turned it down. Russo, of course, does our hockey. We got Krasinski on basketball.
Right.
We got a great lineup here.
Oh, you sure do.
So I just think, again, judge people by what they do, not what they say. He didn't take the highest offer in NHL history.
Think about that.
If he wanted to be with the Minnesota Wild, why wouldn't he take that offer?
Why wouldn't his agent accept that?
Right. So I think Kaprizov looks around and says, yeah, they love me. They love me because I'm keeping them above water.
But do I love them?
Why don't I? Why, I have no special tie to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
If I like going home to Russia easier, wouldn't the East Coast make more sense for me? Wouldn't I rather play in New York or Miami so I just think he's given us every indication that he wants to hit the open market and take the highest offer and probably go elsewhere.
Well, at what point do the Wild have to say, we're going to have to trade him? Because we can't just let him play his contract out. And
what time is it? It's 11:30. I would say next 5 minutes they should trade him. I mean, seriously, I think that's the thing. And listen, we also have to acknowledge that negotiations are very fickle, and maybe Kaprizov's team gave Guerin some indication that there's some hope, and he's got to play it out because he can't afford to lose Kaprizov. But if he gets final indication that Kaprizov's going to become a free agent, he has to trade him.
It seems like it. I don't know.
Has to.
When you turned down the richest offer ever, I mean, not Connor McDavid.
Nope.
You kept thinking, well, they're going to wait till McDavid sets the market, then Kaprizov will follow suit. Because McDavid is still, he's head and shoulders, but he's better. He's a better player overall. Yeah. Absolutely. So let him set the market, and then we'll come in after him. And finally, see if I can get your blood pressure going. I know you're a baseball guy. The Twins they sank to their 25-year low in attendance. Mm-hmm. They finished their last home series in relative obscurity, to say the least. I don't know, Jim. We've had discussions before about this franchise and what this offseason potentially could look like, from the TV contract situation, which is still a mess, to obviously young players, trying to make the team and who they may sign, who's going to own the team. I mean, it's like a vicious cycle that just never ends.
It's funny. You call me a baseball guy. I have a lot of people call me a baseball guy a lot. The reality is that I hate bad baseball and hopelessness as much as anybody else. Mm-hmm. I'm not going out to the ballpark these days. Yeah. I don't want to watch this stuff.
No.
And I think
sad.
As much as people want to rip the Pohlads for not spending money on free agents, which is much more of a gray subject than people want to make it out to be, to me, the terrible sign is when they start cutting scouts. When they start cutting scouts, and part of it is the analytics mindset, which is we can see it on video. Why pay somebody's hotel room?
A lot of teams are doing that.
A lot
of
teams are doing that.
Yeah.
I get it. I also have known so many scouts in my days that I respected who would work what in a different field you call human intelligence. They talk to sports writers. They talk to the beat writers.
Mm-hmm.
They talk to people they know in the organization. They hang around. They see people at the hotel. Gene Glenn, Waseca, Minnesota, great coach.
Mm-hmm.
He was an advanced scout for Tampa for a long time. And every time I ran into him, he'd tell me 8 things I didn't know because he was working it. So I think cutting scouts is a terrible sign. I think the fact that they are willing to completely rebuild to me, the bad trades were Duran, Varland, and Willie Castro.
Right.
Because now, whatever they want to say about rebuilding the bullpen, BS. You're not going to completely rebuild the bullpen in one off season. You're not going to do that. So I think they have sentenced us to just years of bad baseball, and I'm ticked off about it.
Yeah, it's very irritating. Again, when you think about 2 years ago, this time of year, I couldn't wait to race down to Target Field.
It was great.
The playoff series was electric. The fans were into it. I mean, it was just like, wow, I pinched myself. This is what we've been waiting for ever since they built this place. And then the offseason happened, and that really was the beginning of the end for where they are.
We do the Chin Music Show on this network, the Roy Smalley and Lavelle Neal, and we started off our last show, and I started off by saying, I got a unique idea. Everybody just kind of hold on. This is nobody's thought of this before. I think the Pohlads should sell the team.
Wow, that's going out on a limb.
I think they should do it. I know they should have sold. I hate that they didn't sell. And maybe bringing on the minority investors will help them pay down their debt and loosen up. But I just don't think the Pohlads get it. And once again, the whole free agency thing is a different thing because people assume if you spend money in free agency, the free agent's going to work out and you're going to win. And we can look around baseball. Milwaukee Brewers have the best record in baseball and they don't spend as much as the Twins. So it's not all about payroll size. But I don't think the Pohlads get it because after that 2023 series, I remember talking to Rocco And he was like, my God, that was incredible. He was just blown away by the experience.
Right.
He was like, that was incredible. We got to do this again. We owe it to our fans. We owe it to ourselves to do this again. And then all of a sudden, the players saying, no, we're not going to spend any more money. I mean, I don't think they get it. I just think they have rich person's disease where they cannot view it as anything other than a plus or minus on the ledger.
Yeah. And because of that, I'll tell you what they've done to me personally. I'm not looking at the standings very much anymore. I know the playoffs are going to begin, and that's like I'm so disinterested because of what the Twins management has done. I'm just not even engaged in potentially, and I'm sure I'll get into it. But Milwaukee's going to be an easy team to root for. The Cubs are going to be involved a little bit. The American League, you got Detroit. There's a lot of good stories. I just haven't been following it.
And that's the thing is when people call me a baseball guy, they don't realize that I am very willing to forget about baseball and cover football because football is a better sport. And guess what? Part of this, and this is not an excuse for the poll ads, it's just a reality. Part of it is baseball richest owners are so selfish, and the baseball ownership has been so weak, so feeble when it comes to negotiating with the players that they have the stupidest system in sports anywhere, where they allow the Los Angeles Dodgers, because they get to keep their local rights, their local media rights, they allow the Dodgers to outspend opponents by 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Amazing. That's quite a note to end on. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Bill Belichick on another wonderful performance to his football team. And I did see that he got to hug his 24-year-old girlfriend, at least at the end of, or maybe at the end of the game.
He has gone from being, let's be serious about this. For everybody who thought he was the greatest coach of all time, he's never won anything without Tom Brady. He didn't win before he had Tom Brady. He hasn't won since he lost Tom Brady. Now he's embarrassing himself in North Carolina.
Have you no shame, Bill Belichick?
And here's the thing. It'd be one thing if, listen, I know enough about Bill Belichick that I know the seedy side, and this doesn't surprise me. This is very much who he is. But this is the guy who used to preach to his players in New England, no outside distractions, no noise. And now he is dating a distraction.
Who's on the sidelines with him before the game.
It's just pathetic.
I just had to bring that up out of nowhere because I saw the visual.
And I will go back. This strengthens my case that I've always made, that I would take Joe Gibbs and Bill Parcells over Bill Belichick any day of the week because they could win with any quarterback.
You can do this stuff, whatever you want to do, but you better win. And now the fact he's getting his butt kicked every week so far, it doesn't help his situation at all.
No. And he's ruined his reputation, and I just don't know that he ever should. Listen, he was always a very good defensive coordinator. Right. Nobody should ever question that.
Correct.
But there have been a lot of good defensive coordinators who couldn't win as a head coach because they didn't have the right quarterback. He has not won without Tom Brady.
What a world we live in. Jim, thanks so much.
Enjoyed it,
Of course.
Mark.
Thanks, Jim. You've been listening to Rosen Sports Monday. Thanks, as always, for listening.